Alright, let's see. Okay, what's up? Vlog's game. Don't give a fuck right now. This is like a direct, like a live, like literally me finishing Haganai next and ranting about it. I am gonna do like a full review, but I gotta talk about that. Cause that ending was what the fuck levels of okay. It's not gonna be a review, it's probably gonna be something along the same level. What the fuck was that ending supposed to do? Because we got like, I felt like that was like half of what we needed. And it still didn't fucking resolve anything. Let me just kind of explain this, and if you don't want Haganai next, in the ending of Haganai next, spoilers, and don't watch this, but that ending was some shit, man. That ending was some shit. Which makes me mad because the season, like the last 4 episodes, was starting to go into the direction I was interested in going, and then that payoff was fucking ridiculous. Let me explain in a nutshell how Haganai next decided to do things. It decided to still carry on the same type of humor with just better setups instead of doing the, you know, relying on like the same plot line for like 4 episodes or some shit, like the video game theme. They had better spreads of filler type shit, and they introduced a few new characters. And then we started, but the biggest aggravation with Haganai next right now, this ties into the ending, so just stick with me, is the characters themselves. For some reason, Season 2 decided, let's have Yozra and Senna have moments of emotional substance, meaning that they were willing to apologize for being dicks to each other, occasionally, which confuses me just on the base level of Yozra and Senna don't apologize to each other. And here, the problem I had just watching those episodes in themselves was, there's no basis for this. I don't understand why they're doing this all of a sudden. We still don't get really a thing. The other thing they decided to bring up is making it a lot more obvious, at least to the viewer, that they like Kotaka. Okay? The problem is their base personalities didn't fucking change. Meaning, Senna was still a bitch. Senna's personality didn't change at all. She showed no interest in Kotaka unless Kotaka had either explicitly said something to make him think that she was into him. Or she's like, it had to be something very specific to get her to change gears. And you could say in a sense that Yozra and Senna's relationship kind of grows and changes, but even then I wouldn't fucking say that. And that's kind of the gist. I mean, you get some side things, you get some slight information spill with Maria and her older sister Kate, some stuff regarding Rika near the end, which will tie into the ending itself, and then some stuff with Kotaka later, and then we find out that Yukimura's a girl, even though the way they play it off is so fucking ridiculous, it's insane. But that ending section, and that payoff we got was fucking, oh, that was so fucking annoying. So let me explain the premise to the ending for those who don't know, because I need to go through it in my head again to justify, to see if it makes sense when I run through it in my mind. So we start to see some Rika focused episodes about how she's legitimately working so hard to become friends with everyone. And Kotaka notices this, even though Kotaka does exactly what he does. He doesn't really pursue it any further. He just fucking notices it and then kind of moves on. Which I've been annoyed with since the first fucking season, but they try to give a reasoning for it. That's a character flaw of his. Because Rika calls him out on it, like within later that episode, and Kotaka just gets away from the situation. And that's when you start noticing the pattern because of what he says to her when she calls him out on it. He pretends that he doesn't hear her. And granted, he's been doing that since, as I said, the first season, but it became really obvious during the second season. And I was like, oh, maybe this would explain why he seems like a hollow-ass main character, because you're in these, you have these relationships forming around him, and then he's only been pretending to not notice. Like, I think he's fully aware of how Yozura and Senna and Rika feel about them. He even says it, that he knows how Rika feels about him specifically. And Senna, like within the, was it last episode, like episode 11, fucking just flat out confesses to him. In this gag that they've been doing with Kotaka, where he would say something he says something that you would think is an internal monologue, and you find out from the character reactions that it's not. And they have Senna do it in the last episode. By the way, the setup for that shit was ridiculous. They introduced like this little girl who seems to have a thing against Senna, and just have her all of a sudden just start getting really obsessed about taking down the club, just to show off that Senna cares about the club. They do this with Yozora too. And you sit there and you're like, the fuck was that? And then right after that, she leads into the whole confessing that she's in love with him and wants to marry him. And it's just a what the fuck scene. So we proceed into the whole episode of 12, where shit just completely flies off the fucking deep ends, where Kodaka, not knowing how to handle this, and knowing that he can't technically do what he usually does, which is pretend like he didn't hear what she said, he just decides to run from the situation like a coward, and which causes Rika to call him out on his bullshit again, and that proceeds into a fight. Mind you, here's the problem I really have with this shit. Yozora, it's implied anyway, that Yozora overhears the conversation. It's almost obvious that Yozora overhears that conversation, and we do get a somewhat decent beat on Kodaka. We don't understand what his feelings are towards the girls in general, like who he likes. We just know that he is aware of their feelings, and he's just being a coward about it because he doesn't know how to handle it. But they don't explicitly tell us if he's actually into any of the girls. He's shown interest in like all three of them. Yukimura, I don't know what the fuck Yukimura's for. I don't even understand why the fuck they make. I feel like Yukimura's character in general is just being fucking squandered. There's no setup for it. And then they try to introduce another girl to the harem by introducing Kate, Maria's older sister, which really doesn't make sense now in the grand scheme of things. They're pretty much like the last few episodes try to focus on Kodaka's biggest character trait, which is the fact that he likes to run away from difficult situations. And the difficult situation in question was the fact that the girls were falling for him. And they try to do this whole breaking the fourth wall thing, because they even bring up the fact that it's like, Rika's like, well, you're going to be like a harem main character and keep checking off girls and shit, having all the girls in love with you and shit, and then create yourself a harem. And Kodaka breaks the fourth wall by saying, no, I'm not a main character, I'm not a harem. It's like, as hard as it is for you to believe this, I'm scared as shit too, because I don't know how to handle the situation. So, and they do, and we have this nice moment between Kodaka and Rika in which they go, will you be my friend? And they hold hands and they pick each other and they're like, yeah, we're friends now. Like, that was the that was like the last thing about the episode I could say was some sense of progression. And then you remember, oh wait, he still hasn't talked to Senna yet, and Yozora knows about this little argument. Well, we get that at the end, and it was the biggest ridiculous piece of shit I had ever seen. So here, let me explain. It's like the last 5 minutes of the episode, by the way. Not even that, like the last 2 minutes. No, last 3, because they put the ending in between it. He goes back to the room, and Senna's at the room, and he's about to say something to Senna, and then they get a text. Everyone from the group gets a text message from Yozora saying, I'm going on a journey. Don't follow me. And then he says something along the lines of, and then you see a girl wake up, which I'm assuming is Maria or Kate, because she looks like she's wearing an outfit. I would more assume it's Maria than anything. And then they all start smiling because they're like, I guess our adventures aren't over yet. And then the ending song plays, and I'm sitting there going, did you just what the fuck was that? It's like, Haganai has his issues in its own right, and then this shit just tipped me the fuck over. We don't know his feelings towards any other girls, like his true feelings. Like, he has not explicitly said how he feels about one girl over the other. He hasn't even really picked one, if he's going to. Yozora, I don't know what the fuck Yozora is trying to do at this point. If Yozora's into, because remember, Yozora hasn't confessed her love to him, and I don't know if, and I assume Kodaka's aware that she's into him. But he said something that makes me feel like he's not into him, that he doesn't realize she's into him, but like into him kind of. So you end season 2 on a cliffhanger, but it doesn't even. But the way the characters react at the end doesn't make it seem like a cliffhanger, because you had this resolution between Rika and Kodaka, which wasn't even a thing until like 3 episodes ago. you have this thing about Senna that hasn't even been fucking resolved yet, and then you have this shit with Yozora just leaving, and you have no context behind it, and you have these motherfuckers smile as if everything is okay. Like, oh, crazy. Like, he says it. He says, like, I guess our crazy adventures isn't over yet. And you're just sitting there with this what the fuck look on your face, like, what the fuck are you... What the fuck was the point of this season? There better be a season... And you know what pisses me off from what I hear? I haven't heard anything about a season 3. There better be a fucking season 3 for this. Because it doesn't make any sense to leave it as it is. If you leave it as it is, you literally have 2 cliffhangers we're worrying about. Yozora and Senna. What the fuck? And then, and considering I already have a problem with Haganai's structure of episodes and pacing and how they want to address things, because they choose not to actually focus episodes on shit, they just have them do random things, and you have like little tidbits of moments. Or once again, you have episodes, you have these Kotaka moments where her notice something, but it never gets fully explored, which would make sense in the context of... Which would make sense in the context of the later episodes, because it's revealed that Kotaka just doesn't know how to handle these situations. But as I said, we leave on 2 fucking cliffhangers. We still don't know how he feels about any of these girls, and we still don't know. And Yozora's just run off like a bitch again. And also, so I'm kind of just in this mindset of what the fuck. Even that girl, what's her name? I forget the girl with red hair. Aoi, I think is her name. Her introduction and her whole setup is done so late in the game, and it's done, I feel like, just to show off that Senna and Yozora care. And I'm like, don't just throw away a fucking character for that. It's like he's in it. I'm just... I do not understand what the fuck they were going for and what the fuck they hope this season accomplished. Because right now, you've accomplished something with maybe Kotaka and Rika. Those are the only 2 characters I can say we got some legitimate progression in that should carry over. The problem is we have not seen any fruits of... The problem is you still have holes with Senna and Yozora, which directly affects Kotaka, because even though Kotaka's not running away from the situation anymore, you have to question, what the fuck is this? They don't even... And to be perfectly honest, Kotaka's explanation for being scared about this whole situation doesn't really justify his like level of indifference. It's like he was so happy. I'm not gonna say I don't get it. I get it. He was so happy he found a club, and then he started realizing that the girl started falling for him, and he didn't want to mess it up. But so the best thing he would do is just ignore it and try to go on with the situation. And unfortunately, Senna... It was kind of banking on the fact that Senna, Yozora, or Rika wouldn't be as obvious. Rika was so obvious to the point in which no one took it seriously, and Senna and Yozora was still like, are so mentally and emotionally messed up. It just, you couldn't, they would never admit it. So the fact that Senna admitted it just caught everyone off guard. Also, I noticed in the later episodes, Senna and Yozora are just not likable characters in the first place. They have like redeeming traits, but Yozora... Like, I think one of the scenes that really sticks out to me right now, anyway, was the scene in which you're introduced to the student council president, which her name is not Hinata, but it's spelled that way. It's like Hinata, yeah, Hinata or some shit. And she talks about how, and like, I think Kotaka and Yozora are talking about her, and Yozora just says how she can't stand her, and then Kotaka's like, it's like, oh, so you just hate genuinely nice people, okay? Like, Yozora has a horrible attitude and mindset about things. And they even bring it up in the season. They just don't fucking... It's kind of like you get like further extensions of their characters. Specifically, Yozora has a good extension. I think it's the only character we get a real idea of why she is, or at least what kind of person she is in full. Like, and there are moments in which you think she would learn from these situations and she doesn't. There's just a lot of things. Christ, man. It's amazing. You know, up until those last few episodes, I would have just written this off as kind of another bullshit ass season, which means it's entertaining for what it is, but it'd be kind of like the same as season 1. But the fact that it started to take itself seriously and then left holes open for no goddamn reason, you kind of just sit there and look at it and go, what the fuck was that? Like that's my legitimate that was my legitimate reaction. I saw them end it with the credits. You see Yozora walking off in the distance. You see nothing really happening with fucking Kodaka and Senna, and I'm just sitting there going, what the fuck was that? I'm done. I'm done. If someone wants to explain that shit to me, go ahead, because God damn it. And people told me season 2 is better. Season 2 is better in small ways, but that ending in itself just kind of fucked me over. What the fuck was that? Is there even... No, fuck it, I'm about to go see if there's an OVA. There better be some type of OVA. I need to see other fans' reactions, because that shit doesn't make any sense to me. Fuck it. Life's a game. Play to win. Vlog's a game for your boy. I'll catch you guys. That is some shit.